me. Oh, one more person. Not Dave.
It's not Dave.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that thing up in a fun and sexy way. David's got the day off. Apparently, he's going his way to San Diego or somewhere weird like that.
Good.
Yeah,
San Diego, sunny San Diego.
Today, you got me, Rocco as well.
Yeah.
So, let's see that pretty fast.
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, there he is.
Okay.
And then you switched out of that camera really quickly, Rocco.
Okay, hold on. I'll put it back.
There we go.
Find the split one, yes.
Yeah, I missed you yesterday. So
Miss you too. Yeah.
So, we do have a third co-host.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
sure
bring it
if
in.
you've been here on Fridays, you know it's Forrest Fridays. So
Boom, right there.
we got Forrest here joining
What's
us.
up?
What's going on, bro? How you
Thanks
doing?
for having me on.
Thank you. You killing the trades right now? I know Bitcoin's moving. You making money or what?
Yeah, it's been been a good year, a good month, a good week. Crushing some low cap stuff on Solana right now. It's just some on chain stuff, some degen low caps, keeping it under 10 million market cap, and those they're running hard today.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us as always. And for those of you who don't know, Forrest is with Sistine Research, is a company, and got a bunch of alpha in there as well. So if you're looking for some projects to get in, looking to make some money, well, go check them out. All right. So I do want to get into our first sponsor real quick, or sponsor Cam's Blue Wire Tech. So guys, if you own a business and well, you're connected to the internet, I don't know how you have a business you're not connected to the internet. If you do those, well, check out Cam's Blue Wire Tech. They do cybersecurity, and also they help you with IT and setup. Today's 4K live stream would not be possible without them. Bug them to death to get this thing to run properly. Now, I do want to jump into some comedic relief, as we do most days. So I found I'm a little bit more degen than David is. So let's we're just gonna get into. I'm just gonna play. We'll react. Okay, and so actually, let me make sure I got my.
I'm afraid of it.
Put my sound up here. Thing muted. All right, so.
What's up? I'm Steven. This is my first drink of the night. What's up? I'm Steven. This is my second drink of the night. Woo! I'm Steven. This is my 8th drink of the night.
Boy drinking champagne.
Steven?
What is going? What number was that?
I had
9.
I had a poker game the other day, and I always use the excuse that if I ever go anywhere, I'm not going to drink. I'm not a big drinker, and so I had a poker game at my house, and so I had no excuse that I couldn't drive, and so I was like Steven there earlier this week. Now, I do want to. This was not a video, but a post by the President of the United States, the official X handle here, Joe Biden. Let me be clear to any corporation that hasn't brought their prices back down, even as inflation has come back down. It's time to stop the price gouging. Give American consumers a break. Now, there's a community post here, or community note. So Twitter, if you have something that needs extra clarification because it might not be factually correct or it has some contradicting information, X will put a note on there with more facts. And so here's a note. As long as inflation rate is positive, prices are increasing. The fact that inflation has come down to 3.2% in October means that prices are still going up, albeit at a slower rate than before. So you gotta love that, man. The president of the United States is out here talking about corporations need to bring their prices down, and then you got the X platform saying, "Hey, well, prices are still going up. Just they're not as bad as before." Now, here's also When the government says it's going to be a soft landing for the economy, let's see. Oh,
Oh,
so yeah, a soft landing, and then well, I might get canceled for this one, but you know what, YOLO. All right, so if you haven't seen all of the memes with Elon basically saying "F you" to all of the advertisers that left, particularly the advertisers in Disney was the one that got called out. And well, anyways,
So if you're ready, let's go for the million. If Bob Iger was in the room with you right now, what would you say to him? Eat a bag of dicks? Suck on my pee-pee? Disney Plus is gay? Go fuck yourself.
we're gonna get canceled.
I'd like to use one of my lifelines and phone a friend.
Okay, who would you like to call?
I'd like to call Bob Iger.
All right. Our friends at AT&T will get Bob Iger on the line, and we'll see if he can help you.
Hello?
Hello, Bob.
Yes.
Hi, Regis Philbin here from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Hi.
We've got Elon Musk with us right now. He's won $500 million.
Wow.
And he's going for $1 million. And he needs your help to get there.
Okay.
So, he's going to come on the line, read a question, 4 possible answers. One of them is the right answer. Elon, you've got 30 seconds. Starts right now.
Hey, Bob.
Hi.
I don't really need your help. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to win the $1 million. Go fuck yourself.
He's won $1 million.
You really like this one.
That was good. All right. Did you see the all the memes? I'm sure you were. What do you think about Elon going rogue here and just breaking the business model and saying we don't need the advertising?
yeah. I mean, look, I think all these companies that are just going down this path, like you look at their stock prices, they're cratering. Tesla stock's doing pretty decent, all things considered, considering they're in the electric vehicle market in a tough economy. And then you look at Disney stock, it's down 55% since 2021. Around the time that a lot of these companies started going super woke and implementing these type of policies. So, yeah, I mean, kudos to Elon. He's not afraid to say what's on his mind.
You know, the interesting thing is that all of Elon's companies have been on the brink of bankruptcy, right, or failure. SpaceX, I think they were down to like their last $10 million. Tesla at one point didn't. It looked like they weren't going to get off the ground. They were tremendously in the hole. I think they got bailed out by the Obama administration. I think they injected them with a bunch of capital to keep them afloat. And so I feel like X is in a similar situation where they are in economic uncertainty on moving forward, and I just believe that X ain't gonna go nowhere. And at the end of the day, Elon Musk will figure a way out. I don't know. Very interesting. There was a video just posted by just like 2 hours ago. It's the newest commercial for Coinbase. We're not getting paid for this, but Coinbase tends to have some pretty good little commercials. So I wanted to check this one out. Yeah, this is a commercial. Oh,
That's STAKE, not STEAK.
I love that one. Yeah, let's check out the newest commercial. I think that, it kind of falls in line with what we talk about most shows, and it's kind of the uncertainty of the fiat system and the exploits that are perpetrated by politicians and their current system. Anyways, Rocco, we'll pull it up.
There's a system, Emma. We're born into it. A system with numbers and papers.
And lines.
And waiting. You work hard, get good grades, go to college.
I want to go to college. I got good grades.
I overachieved.
That's right, she did.
Debt is good?
Debt is so good.
So much debt.
I can totally save up and buy a house and start a family.
I want a family.
Oh.
Starting a family means you need 2 or 3 jobs.
You can't afford to buy.
Oh.
You can't afford to rent.
Used cars cost as much as the new ones.
Oh.
It's weird.
Good debt is
I
good.
was head of my class.
Houses are too expensive.
You work hard, get good.
The system, the numbers.
Rent is freaking insane.
Breaking news. Everything is terrible.
Does it have to be this way?
What if it was different?
It's always been that way.
We've got to build our way out of it. Yeah.
Put control back to the hands of the people, not the bureaucracy.
A system with less paperwork.
No waiting. No lines.
Permissionless.
Just because you're born into a system
Doesn't mean you have to live with it.
Yeah, pretty. Coinbase does a pretty good job putting these commercials together, and they're not selling their product; they're more selling the idea of blockchain and how it basically the positives of privatizing our monetary system and versus using the government-based system. And we've never been in a position where we could effectively launch our own money without it being controlled or manipulated. And so now we have blockchain, whether you believe it's Bitcoin or some other altcoin. We're in a position where altcoins, Bitcoin, blockchain, well, it can provide the services that the U.S. government does, but without the manipulation. Now, there are some manipulation in blockchains, but that's not for all of them. That's why we discuss decentralization all the time and why it's such an important something that's so important to the crypto industry. So, what do you think, Forrest? Have you seen that video yet? It just came out a couple hours ago.
No, it was my first time seeing it. I think they did a really, really good. I think it was a high quality commercial that'll really get to a lot of people. But you know me, I'm cynical. I think like you zoom out, like even right now, and imagine 5 years from now, you look at who owns all the Bitcoin. It's the largest holders of Bitcoin right now are going to be the United States government, Michael Saylor, Coinbase, Grayscale, and BlackRock. And then you'll probably have some other, large asset managers come in and own a lot of the Bitcoin. So, is great of a message and like a dream is the kind of laying out there. I think it's, I'd love to be optimistic about, creating a new financial system that is not corrupt or controlled by the people that have the money. But I think at the end of the day, Bitcoin is it's another form of money, and it may be a better form of money, but I don't think that it's I don't think any cryptocurrencies or anything that holds value or in any market, whether it's real estate or elsewhere, is really impervious to being controlled by the people with the money. And I don't know. I'd like to be more optimistic and in line with the commercial, but deep down, you look at the moves being made and BlackRock coming into the space, which I think is super, super bullish and good for the price of Bitcoin. But they're going to control a lot of stuff in this industry, as are some of the other big players. So I don't know. I'm mixed feelings.
I agree with you. I think having an alternative to the fiat system gives one puts pressure on the fiat system, right? If you only have one avenue to operate financially, and that's with the dollar, if you live in the United States, or with the euro, if you live in Europe, if that's your only means of collecting money and then spending it, then you're really at their mercy. And if you find yourself in a situation where you have another option, a private option, I think the competition obviously is good when you have an open market. Now, I think that this is a more pressing, or I think this is something that means more to economies around the world that have extreme political manipulation and I think the U.S., the fiat system will always be there, or at least for the foreseeable future. I don't think that there's going to be a collapse in the fiat system and it's going to go to zero. I don't think that's a reality. Not at least not in our lifetimes. However, there are going to be a collapse of many economies around the world. Smaller nations, particularly in third world countries that right now are not included in the financial structure that we have with the OFAC and the IMF and all these other organizations that operate internationally. You got to play by their rules, and a lot of times they gouge the smaller nations. And so, having something that having another option, I think for certain countries uh, is an extreme positive, which gets me right into our main story today. Um, and then we're going to cover the main story. Then we're going to get into the prices of cryptos, Bitcoin. We'll talk about that. But to get into the headline real quick, Colombia. So the president of Colombia here, he is now a Bitcoin hodler. Now, Colombian President Gustavo Petro has reportedly become a hodler of Bitcoin. This development comes on the heels of a meeting between president and the delegation led by Samson Mao, founder of Jan3. Jan3 is a company in the forefront of Bitcoin nation state adoption. So Jan3's statement via X hinted at a potential policy shifts, and so their tweet or their post came out as, "Is Bitcoin usage in Colombia likely to usher in new policies?" Definitely a maybe. The Jan3 team met with the president to discuss the potential implications in social projects. So, a little contrast to what we've seen from other presidential candidates and other leaders around the world when discussing Bitcoin as perhaps something to buy and hold, or we've seen with El Salvador making it a legal tender. This is more talking about the use case of blockchain in the economy. So, Samson Mao posted an image on X with the president, and he goes to quote, "The president of Colombia is now a Bitcoin hodler with 100,000 Satoshis." So he has 0.001 Bitcoin. Well, it's never too little to start. And he also says, "Thanks for the president for a welcoming message. We're excited to help Colombia move forward. Don't lose your Bitcoin." So here's an image here of Samson here on the left, president on the right. And he also met with some other crypto leaders as well, Diego, and going in. So the local media outlet there said that their president is exploring the use of BTC in the national economy through cooperatives. The president is also considering application of blockchain technology in various public sectors, such as health, billing, management of assets, society, land restitution. So basically, health, billing, and property management. And smart contracts is one way of tracking tokenizing assets and tracking homes or land, and keeping that on the blockchain is something that seems like they're discussing. Cryptocurrencies, however, aren't regulated in Colombia right now. So the financial superintendency has been conducting a pilot plan for the use of cryptocurrency for years, but this is all still pending. The implementation of strategies proposed by the president remains unclear right now. So basically, not much cryptocurrency regulation on the nation state level, but this seems like they're opening up the thought and communications. And we did have a little video here, about 40 seconds of their meeting here. So I was going to play that real quick.
Bueno, aquí estoy rodeado de estos amigos gurús del blockchain, por una parte, de las criptomonedas Bitcoin, por otra. Están reunidos aquí en Bogotá y son expertos en todas las Américas en estos temas. Vamos a abrir unos campos de trabajo en la administración pública y en las comunidades populares, en las cooperativas de trabajo asociado de la economía popular, para potenciarlas a través de estas nuevas tecnologías que indudablemente ya se abrieron paso en el mundo y tendrán desarrollos hacia el futuro que pueden ser prometedores para la prosperidad de los pueblos.
Gracias. Kind of cool to hear President first of all, meeting with different blockchain leaders, at least there in South America, and yeah, I think we're seeing a very progressive movement in crypto adoption, particularly Bitcoin in South America. You have El Salvador, Argentina's new president, who has spoken very positively about crypto and particularly Bitcoin, and also the abolishing of the central bank there, which we're still kind of waiting to see if that's actually going to play out. Now you have Colombia getting into the ring, and so I think that it's no longer a taboo subject to discuss Bitcoin and crypto. It's not some far off conspiracy theory thing. It's normal everyday talk, and I think that here in our own presidential election coming up next year, we're going to see that Bitcoin is going to have a seat at the table when it comes to discussions on policy changes. Perhaps when they have their debates, that might be one of the questions that's regularly asked. We know that a lot of the Republican candidates that are running, they all seem to have a positive outlook on Bitcoin and talk favorably about it. And the incumbents or the former ones, President Joe Biden and Donald Trump, have not quite as embracive of Bitcoin, but seems like everybody else, all the fresh faces, are embracing it. And so, uh, I'll send it over to you, Forrest. What do you take away from the president of Colombia not only having a meeting about Bitcoin, but talking about using blockchain in real estate and land and healthcare billing. And we know that healthcare in the states can, as far as all the data, information, and billing, is a nightmare. And does blockchain solve that, or what do you think?
Yeah, it's first of all, I think it's a good thing, right? And I think the common theme here, or the problem that needs to be solved, is that kind of modern economic policy, monetary policy, and financial or fintech infrastructures is really outdated, and needs a facelift. And you have a lot of these countries that have struggled in the fintech departments, struggled economically with currency and monetary policies. And I think those are the ones, these kind of more, and I'm not saying that Colombia has a distressed economy, but these, a lot of these Latin American countries that have had issues with currency in the past or have had distressed economies are actually really incentivized to find, to be more progressive than someone like the United States, or a country with a quote unquote stronger economy, without as many or as much of a currency issue. Um, so I think they're the ones that are probably going to be leading the charge here, and I think this is something that takes time. If you really sit back and look at the big picture here, Bitcoin's been around since 2008, right? That's like 15 years old. If you look at like Ethereum and smart contracts, they've been around for like realistically like 4 years, right? It's like smart contracts and like dApps and decentralized applications have been around on Ethereum for a very, very, very short period of time. The space is growing very, very fast. But it's still very, very young. And I get why a lot of countries may want to take a more kind of conservative approach and slower approach, but it's important that these conversations are being had. On the topic of Latin American countries, potentially being early adopters of this, of blockchain technology, QNT actually comes to mind, which price action for QNT has been lagging behind, but I am a fan of QNT, and they partnered with LAC which is LAC, Latin America and Caribbean chain, a while back ago in 2021. And I think if you start to see blockchain take off in these Latin American countries, QNT is definitely a coin to pay attention to, as it may be, have already established some partnerships in that geographical region.
Yeah, I was looking at the Quant chart. Hasn't really had much of a run uh, recently, at least not compared to Bitcoin. And then,
It's been flat.
yeah, when compared to Bitcoin, you can see that it has since March. since February. No, this is
Yeah.
January. Really, just the entire year. Um, it's been better to have purchased and held Bitcoin versus Quant. But I am a big fan of Quant. I like what they're doing. I feel like in their sector or their niche, there's not quite as much competition. And you look at the likes of like Avalanche, for example, or even Polygon. There are a lot of other scaling solutions here with Polygon. There is a lot of other layer ones to compete with in Avalanche. You look at someone like Chainlink; they're the leader in their Oracle services. They're expanding their use case and utility and integration with the fiat system and central banks um, and also connecting blockchains to one another. And so their use case and utility is growing. But one thing that stands out about me with Quant is the fact that they're in a little league of their own when it comes to their services that they offer with their blockchain. So something I'm bullish on. Now, I do want to take a look over at Bitcoin, and so but if you guys have been watching Bitcoin lately, at least on the week, you can see that we went from 37, dropped all the way down to 36, and well, I think we for a quick candle wick touched 39K, basically ran into that support level, and when you look at the 1 year chart, we are going in the right direction. And even as of late, I think the markets are ramping up and getting ready for this ETF. And before I jump into the in too far in depth, I do want to just discuss the ETFs here. So this is per Andrew AP Abacus. So update: SEC meeting with spot Bitcoin ETF issues have been voluminous. SEC source 99% approval and all at once. So they don't think, experts are saying that we're not going to have just one ETF launch. That'll probably be most of the applicants all at once. So dotting the I's and crossing the T's across all applications. Grayscale doing all it can to be first conversion based on the court decision. Also, you have here another one. So they just had a meeting 2 days ago. Now, another meeting yesterday between Grayscale and the SEC. And this basically was a memorandum basically saying who was in attendance at this meeting. And so you have the SEC meeting with Grayscale. You have experts saying that 99% chance that these things all get passed all at once. And the deadline is fast approaching. I think for the BlackRock one will stretch out to March. But I don't know, man. I think that it might come sooner. How soon to be exact, I'm not sure. But even if it is March at the final deadline, it's only 3 months away. And I do think this is why we're seeing the price action. I'll send it over to you. What do you think, Forrest, with Bitcoin's price action hitting 39,000? Do you think we're gonna cross this 40K? I was checking out YouTube today. Everybody's thumbnails or everyone was posting 40K Bitcoin in December. Do you think that we get there maybe this week or by the end of the week or next week, this month, or what do you think?
Yeah. Do you want to check out a chart?
Yeah. What do you got for price?
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, I'll share my screen here. So I'm going to kind of outline two scenarios. And I know it's not helpful to, a lot of people are like, oh, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, or oh, you don't want to commit to one direction or the other. And the reality is, the market is uncertain at any given time. Anything can happen, and I think it's smart to prepare for multiple scenarios. So we go into Bitcoin here, and you see this price action is looking very bullish. We've just been grinding up into this first red easy band level, and we've actually flipped it into support. Right now, RSI has been coming down at the same time, right? Giving us bearish divergence, which may or may not play out. Oftentimes it does play out in the form of a correction, and it's something that you have to be very, very careful of. But this is just very likely just accumulation. My guess is that between Michael Saylor buying aggressively as usual, and probably BlackRock and other large entities accumulating up here as well, it's just been propping up Bitcoin and just jamming it upwards every single time the bears try to short it. it gets popped back up, and we've got this nice vertical accumulation, upwards accumulation pattern that is in and of itself bullish. Now, I want to outline a couple scenarios, two to be exact. The first one is the event of if you're looking for an entry point, if you're looking for where to buy Bitcoin, you feel like you might have missed the boat. The entry point is always going to be your retest of your 21-week simple moving average and your prior range high, right? So our prior range high was around, we were kind of capped at 30 to, we'll call it $32,000. Maybe we front run it, and up here we've got kind of like this 32.5 or 33K level. But essentially somewhere in this region with our 21-week simple moving average and our prior range highs coming in, that would be the support level if for whatever reason, I know things feel very, very bullish right now, but again, market sentiment can shift very quickly. It can shift absolutely very quickly. Something bearish could come out. Remember, the government, the US government still has a ton of Bitcoin that they said that they plan to sell by the end of the year. The end of the year is coming up quick. Now, we haven't heard much from them since then, since like March, right? So maybe they've decided not to sell it. But keep in mind, sentiment can shift very, very quickly in this space. And I'll give you an example, a fractal of price action, where we saw something like that when we were revving up before the next, going into this prior bull market. Last bull market cycle, we kind of had, this came after a halving. This came after the COVID crash, right? And we came back, we recovered. Think of the COVID crash as maybe kind of along the same lines as the FTX crash. We recovered. We popped up into this red easy band region. We did print some bearish divergence here, but we had this markup, the distribution, and then the markdown. And then we had a retest of our 21-week simple moving average and our prior range highs, right? And then, but keep in mind, this was a very, very painful, for the time being, especially as alts were starting to pick up again, this is a very painful 20% correction, right? So don't think that just because we are in a bullish market that Bitcoin can't have a 20% correction, right? We could absolutely see something along the lines. That's kind of your bearish scenario. That's your scenario, which it sounds bearish, but it would be a big buying opportunity. It's where you'd actually want to really, in my opinion, really plow some money into the market and buy this dip, because we're probably going to see, a solid bull market here at some point with the Bitcoin ETF and Bitcoin halving, right? The economy is a little bit shaky, but we'll see how that plays out. Another example of some vertical accumulation that panned out in the upwards direction was when we were kind of recovering from this initial bear market collapse back in 2019. We saw this big collapse, this crash. We recovered, and what did we see? We saw some vertical accumulation in the red easy band region, which broke upwards, and we went and didn't put in bearish divergence until, or our bear market rally topped until we were at the top of our red easy bands, right? So the way that would kind of play out is that the people who missed the boat and don't have enough exposure, they don't get an opportunity to buy cheaper. And this is actually looking pretty similar to what we've got going on right now. And this is a scenario that I could see playing out, where we do get vertical accumulation and a breakout upwards. Then we go up to, maybe 46 to maybe even 57, 58K, these red easy bands again. And that would be a very painful scenario for people who have not accumulated and people who are really wanting to see a correction to buy. Now, I'm of the opinion that no matter how bullish you are on a market, if you're over the 21-week simple moving average, if you're in this red easy band zone, you should always, not financial advice, you should always have some stable coins on the side so you can take advantage of these corrections back down to the 21-week simple moving average. Because if you don't have stable coins on the side and this does happen, not only are your bags down, but you don't have capital ready to deploy and actually take advantage of this dip, which probably ends up resolving to the upside anyways, right? So while I can't be certain which of these scenarios will play out, I think being prepared for both is very, very smart. I could see either one being realistic. It just depends on, what kind of bad news or maybe manipulation we might get that might bring us back down to the 21-week simple moving average. Remember, Binance has been investigated, right? There could be bad things happening. Tether, there's always Tether FUD. There's always FUD somewhere. There's always, Mount Gox distributions and the U.S. government selling Bitcoin. There's always a reason that the market can crash. And if a reason manifests, we could find ourselves back in a 20% correction, which would be painful for altcoins. Altcoins would probably get 30, 40% corrections, which would be a great buying opportunity. The alternative, if you're already very heavily exposed to the market, is just a rip. And that would be painful for the people that are trying to, buy a dip. There may not be a dip to buy, but I think being prepared for both scenarios here, having exposure to Bitcoin, having exposure to crypto is smart, and also having some stable coins on the side to plow into the market should we see a correction is also smart. The thing is, everyone, for whatever reason, and I think this is a big mistake a lot of people make in crypto, is they feel like at any given time they have to be 100% exposed or 100% out of the market. You can be 50-50, you can be 60-40, you can be 80-20. You don't have to be 100% exposed to the market at any given time. You can give yourself that optionality of having some stable coins to buy a dip.
Is there any particular price you're looking for if you start getting upward movement in Bitcoin as an entry position? Like say it crosses 40,000, hits 41, and then comes back down to support at 40,000. Are you going to put in an entry position there at 40K if it crosses support and then comes back down and retests? Or are you just kind of thinking that 40K might be overbought territory and you're kind of just going to take your hands off the steering wheel?
Yeah, so my plan is pretty simple. If Bitcoin gets a mean reversion, if Bitcoin crashes down to 30 at any point, it could go up to 50 and then crash down to 40. But if it hits that 21-week simple moving average in a bullish market or retest that prior range, I'm looking to plow money into good altcoins because they're going to get 40-50% corrections. So like AVAX, Solana, Chainlink, Cardano, name your favorite altcoin is probably going to see a 40-50% correction and be a great buying opportunity. Now, if we don't get a correction and Bitcoin just plows straight ahead and doesn't give a correction, I'm not going to chase the large caps. I'm not going to chase Bitcoin, but where I am going to turn my attention is the degen stuff. The micro caps, the 10, 20, $30 million market cap stuff that in a frothy market can do a 2 or 3x. And I'll just be looking to trade that stuff.
Any micro caps you're looking at now? I see the degens over here licking their chops. You got any low cap low plays here?
A lot of Solana stuff. I think the Solana ecosystem is in the process of getting repriced. So one that we've posted to the research hub a little while ago. It's already around 2x. So I don't know if it's the best entry now, but Nosana. Nosana is a good project that it's a 50 or $60 million market cap coin that is doing the same thing as Render Network, which is at a 1.6 or $1.8 billion market cap. So there's a big disparity between those two coins, and they essentially seek to do the same thing with cloud computing. So I think there's some other good opportunities there that we've got posted in the research hub. Some of them have been running recently, but yeah, the degen stuff, you got to get your initial, if it 2x's, get that initial investment out, and then it just turns into a free roll position to hold on to during the bull market.
All right. And then Digital Asset Degen wanted to point out he's licking his chops. All right, so a little shout out to the chat here. We did have Mike Vollmer join the Sin City crypto community. So he's one of our newest members. He got his own membership. There you go. So welcome to the familia. Also, we had a $9.99 super chat from Everton Azul. He loves the show and loves Cardano. I actually ran into him a couple days ago out at lunch. Wish we'd have chit-chatted, but probably have places to be. Now, also, if you're new here, say hello so we can drop an hola back at you. We got Lisa A. World Willem, Robert T. Stacy Jane, Harp, Aru, Wick, Nighthorse, Jack the Beanstalk, ICP Alpha, Poman 13. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also, 85 likes is get over the 100 like mark. So if you haven't had a chance to hit the like button, support the channel, support Big Rob, support Forrest, support Rocco, hit the like. And then I do want to move our conversations out over here. We got the approval. FTX gets court green light to sell $873 million in assets. We knew this day was coming. Well, a Delaware bankruptcy court has approved to allow FTX to sell $873 million in in trust assets. Trust assets. That's the key thing to realize here. It's not individual tokens. So the value of these assets have increased to 873, up from 800 just about a month ago, or a month and a half ago. Now, this is from Grayscale Investments and Bitwise for $66 million from Bitwise, $800 million from Grayscale. So they're going to sell 6 cryptocurrency trusts from Grayscale, which include Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also the Bitwise Crypto Index Fund. Now, in the index fund, you got Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, and some other large caps. So since just to put in perspective, since FTX collapsed, FTX administrators have recovered around $7 billion in assets, with 3.4 in cryptocurrency and cryptocurrencies. So out of the 8.7 billion that was initially misused or misappropriated, 7 billion has been recovered. So quite a big hole was filled there. There's still a shortfall of 1.7 billion. Not to mention the price of these tokens have went up since the beginning of the year. So almost a 2x, over 2x on Bitcoin. And so not surprised that they're filling the gap with the rise in prices. I know there's been a lot of FUD for us when it comes to these tokens hitting the market. And at some point, Grayscale, if they do sell $800 million worth of the Grayscale trust, you got to expect that Grayscale is on the back end going to put those, are going to sell those Bitcoin, those Bitcoins that are tied to that trust. They got to sell it, right? I mean, I guess you could theoretically say they could hold it, but I mean, the way the trust works, they're more than likely going to sell those. Probably not on the open market as far as order books on exchanges, but those are going to come back into the system, which should create some kind of sell pressure. Do you think that this is something that we should be concerned about when it comes to prices, or do you think that this is all going to happen behind the scenes, over the counter, not going to affect the price, and it's exactly that, FUD, and not too much more? What do you think, Forrest?
I mean, at the end of the day, sell pressure is sell pressure. Even stuff that, even though OTC markets don't necessarily directly impact price immediately, it's still, it still impacts the price indirectly. If you buy $100 million worth of Bitcoin OTC, yeah, it's not going to impact the price to the upside. But it still impacts indirectly. So OTC definitely still impacts price. And at the end of the day, I'm like, sell pressure is sell pressure. If we were in a bear market, if we were, and I'm not necessarily saying we're in a full-on bull market. We're not even at Bitcoin all-time highs yet. When Bitcoin gets to all-time highs, the market's gonna go crazy. But if we were still kind of sitting around 25K Bitcoin, and this headline came out, everyone would be freaking out. But now, because price action's been up and things are a little more frothy, everyone's kind of just ignoring this. But at the end of the day, sell pressure. This is, probably going to have some impact on price. It may get priced in beforehand. It may already be priced in, but it probably will impact price. So this is, one of those things that maybe it contributes to the scenario we just discussed, where Bitcoin gets that 10, 15, 20% pullback, and it manifests as a buying opportunity going into the Bitcoin halving. I think that it's something that shouldn't be ignored and should be factored in. And I think a lot of people, and the people that are just very, very bullish, a lot of people are just extremely bullish. They want 100% exposure to this market. I think that's risky to ignore stuff like this and just say, oh, nothing, a pullback couldn't happen, or this is just going to rip straight up like that second scenario we talked about. Maybe it does. But it's almost $1 billion. It's almost $1 billion in sell pressure. It's not nothing, and it could absolutely impact price. So, like I said, being having the optionality to bid if you get a pullback is really, really important. If you get that pullback to 30K, I want to be a buyer down there. I want to be a buyer. So I've got stablecoin set aside. If it rips, I've got exposure to crypto, and we'll keep printing. But yeah, something to definitely be aware of and factor in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious what's going to happen with all that Solana. I know that wasn't listed there on the trust, but I know that's been the biggest fear was that this Solana sell pressure with the forced liquidations on their assets. What's that going to do to the markets? Um, yeah, I don't know. I do want to. There's been a lot of buzz, and the community has been beating the drum on Kaspa. And we haven't really gotten much into Kaspa. So not too much development coming out of the camp, but I figured it was worth kind of looking over Kaspa. So more recently, I've kind of did a little research on what's behind it. It's catching a lot of buzz. It's climbing up the coin market cap pretty quickly. This is one of the best performing altcoins in the top 100 this year. It did come out in 2022, so relatively new, but you can see here, this thing, if you got any kind of exposure before October, you're sitting pretty with at least 3x if you would have touched this at any point and held it prior to Halloween. And then it did have, anyways, getting into it, we do have we have a crypto analyst, Braver Crypto boasts, he's got 62,000 followers on X. He is talking about $5 Kaspa. Seems to be a growing narrative coming around in the cryptocurrency creator circles. And $5 currently sitting at 13 cents. It's a little ambitious, especially seeing where Kaspa is on the CoinMarketCap list inside the top 30 here. So it's sitting at number 26 with a $3 billion market cap. We're talking 30 something X from where it is now. But to expand on this article or this Braver's view, he's saying that the eventual total supply of around 24 billion tokens at $5 would give it a $120 billion market cap. And that's all I really got there. So that was this guy's price prediction. If you're not familiar with Kaspa, it is something that came out more recently. It had a fair release. So instead of having an ICO, tokens were issued similar way that you kind of have for proof of work with like Bitcoin, where tokens are released. They had a massive, I think, 70% of the tokens have hit the circulating supply within the last year. So it is new, but they have a very high concentration of whales controlling the tokens, and there's no surprise it being a new token or a new project. You're going to have concentration into the whales with a very small allocation to retail, but it doesn't really do much. I try to do some research, and perhaps it's because it's still in its early adoption phase or its early roadmap. Right now, there's no use case utility. There's no dApps built on there. And so if you were, and we've seen so much buzz on Kaspa, if you're interested in Kaspa, you're really just buying in on the vision, the idea, in hopes that it materializes and doesn't have any shortfalls. The inflation rate looking forward is pretty minimal because I think they have close to 80% of their tokens in circulation right now. And so that's a positive, but they are supposed to have smart contracts coming in down the line. They do use a Ghost DAG protocol for consensus, which, if you're familiar with the DAG, it's a little different than the linear style blockchains, where you validate one block after another. There is like IOTA and Hedera Hashgraph, as a couple other blockchains that use the DAG protocol. And so they're pretty fast and scalable. It's proof of work, and yeah, I think they get one block per second finality, which is pretty quick for this style of blockchain. So, um, Forrest, have you? I know the community's been bugging you about Casper. They had to, because I see every show. It's in the chat.
Yeah.
You got any feelings on this?
Yeah.
Is it a dangerous early project or?
So obvious hasn't been anything that's outperformed it real from in this bear market, and why that is still a little bit uncertain to me. I think a big like Bitcoin miner like a big miner kind of got behind it, if I'm not mistaken. But the fact that it doesn't have smart contracts yet, it means it's still in this. You nailed it. It's still in this speculative period where these fast chains, these fast alternative layer ones. By alternative layer ones, I mean anything that's not related to Ethereum or an Ethereum L2. So you've got Aptos, Say, Solana, Kaspa, like all these alternative layer ones. Like they're getting a lot of speculation, kind of on the back of Solana doing really well, and the fast cheap transactions that there may be a lot of demand for in a bull market. But what you'll find is that once smart contracts go live, what's really important to keep track of with a lot of these alternative layer ones is their TVL. They start to be evaluated based on how much volume they do and how much value they have locked on into like their DeFi applications. So it's one of those things where you can see a chain get a large hyped up valuation based on its technical technical specs, but if it launches dApps and then like the money doesn't flow onto the chain for a while, you can see you could potentially see a crash in price. It almost reminds me of like Theta Network, where there's just a ton of hype around Theta Network. The last bull market, it ran into the top 10 and then it kind of crashed back down to like the mid 50s in terms of market cap. I could be wrong, and maybe this runs and becomes a major competitor with Solana and Cardano and moves into like that top 10 to 15 spots and holds it. But to me, I think at this current price, it's a little bit risky for my appetite, especially if there's large whales that could start selling off and distributing their tokens and cause a crash in price. So I think it's once it launches smart contracts, I think where a lot of opportunity may lie is actually diving into the ecosystem, diving into the app layer, diving into the decentralized applications that launch on it, and participating on chain, and maybe earning some airdrops or investing in some of these protocols early.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me is exactly that, is when smart contracts do launch, is there going to be vulnerabilities or exploits? I think that's something we've seen. I know Phantom, who also uses the DAG protocol, has had some exploits as well. And does I would just be hesitant, because I think that there is a potential. I think that if in the next bull market we will look back at Kaspa and you'll see that it probably ran up like crazy, but I think it's going to be short lived. And as you mentioned, Theta, where it kind of peaked out. Phantom's another good example of in previous bull market, where you had this very small time window where you had a massive run up in these altcoins, and then they just really just plateaued and fell off and reversed pretty quickly. And would you be able to time it? Could you be able to withstand the euphoria? Could you get into a Caspa now, hold it for say a year, 2 years, going into a bull market, the height of a bull market, and then have the conviction to sell it when it's 5-10x where it is now? It would be hard to do. And I think that we look at former altcoins in previous bull markets and we're like, oh, well, it was at pennies and then it was over dollars. But that buy at the bottom, sell at the top is so incredibly hard to time and difficult to execute. And so I like more sustained long-term growth from the layer ones, the top guys. But it is fun to take a little risk. And I know the community's been asking about it, so I figured I'd give it a little overview. All right, so I do wanted to discuss CBDCs, and so, well, Canada's has a CBDC pilot going on, and well, there was a survey they went out. So, a recent public consultation on Canada's central bank digital currency initiative revealed that the overall negative sentiment from Canadians confirming that the Bank of Canada concerns around its countrywide adoption. Now, through the digital Canadian dollar public consultation report, the Canadian Central Bank intended to identify a place for CBDCs in a world dominated by digital fiat payments and credit cards. Basically, they're trying to get rid of the paper dollar. They want to go to credit cards and a CBDC. There was a survey from 90,000 Canadians, and well, they asked them. Oh, well, here we go. Have you heard about the CBDC? So basically, yes, I've heard about it, and I'm familiar with the concept of the digital Canadian dollar. Kind of pushes back on what my first thoughts were. I didn't really realize that, well, 87% of Canadians, I think it's probably shared here in the United States as well, but 87% of people are familiar with the digital Canadian dollar. I felt like the CBDCs are flying under the radar, that governments were just going to jam this down our throats without us realizing and saying, hey, we got a more efficient dollar here. And you know what? You don't have to wait for the settlement, the 2 to 3 days processing. It's quicker. Just use this one instead. But apparently, a lot of residents are aware of the dollar. Anyways, they did expand this survey to ask them how they felt about it. And 79, and this blue is strongly agree, yellow is strongly disagree. Okay, so regulation should be introduced to require merchants to accept cash as a form of payment. They're asking, hey, should merchants be required to take cash? And a resounding 80% of people say, yeah, they should. And then the Bank of Canada should continue to provide Canadians an official means of payments, such as banknotes or digital dollars banked by central bank. So basically, they're saying, are you in favor of digital currency and banknotes? And so more mixed, but 40% of people are okay with the CBDC idea, or at least some version of it. But here's where you take a turn. So I am confident that the Bank of Canada will consider the public's feedback as it builds the capabilities to issue the version of the Canadian dollar. A resounding 5% agree. So there's no confidence in the people that were surveyed here, 90,000 Canadians. There's no confidence that they think that their opinion and voices will be heard when it comes to developing a CBDC. While 60% plus another 18% on still disagree. So basically, almost 80% of people, they think that their voice will not be heard when it comes to creating the CBDC. And then, just to put a nail in the coffin, the Bank of Canada should be researching and building the capability to issue the digital dollar. No, they don't even want them issuing it, researching it. They want no parts of it. Over 88% of people do not want CBDCs. Can you run a political campaign as a candidate in any political office, support CBDCs, and not create a distaste from the voters? I think we're seeing it here in the States. You got DeSantis coming out speaking very negatively about CBDCs and how there's no way it's going to pass in any form in front of his desk. And you know what? The people have spoken, at least here in this survey in Canada, that they don't want it. And I think it's going to be very hard for any candidate to get this passed. What do you think, Forrest, about CBDCs, Canada's residents not wanting it? Do you think that's sentiment shared around the world?
Yeah, so I've kind of changed my mind a little bit on this, because I used to say like CBDCs are inevitable, and maybe to some degree they are. But even if they launch a CBDC, if a government launches a CBDC, I don't think it'll be all that successful, because I think you'll have the option to use something else. I think you'll have the option to use USDC on a fast network like Solana or another alternative layer one. We see Visa already is experimenting with Solana. I think they're experimenting with other fast blockchains as well. So like, would you rather have, would you rather pay with or own a CBDC that the government can control what you can and can't spend it on? Or would you rather own USDC, which is essentially backed by US treasuries anyways? Circle owns 20, so there's 24 billion USDC in circulation, most of which is backed by some form of short-term US treasuries. 24 billion. So for that's about as much as some fairly large countries. For reference, Ukraine owns 21.4 billion in US treasuries, Peru about 32 billion in US treasuries. So Circle already owns as much as some middle-sized countries do in US debt. So if we see that continue to grow, I think you've got you've got CBDCs that are essentially going to be competing with Circle and Tether and other decentralized stable, or not other decentralized stable, but other stable coins that are decentralized in nature. Obviously, USDC and Tether are very centralized. So I think even if the government launches a CBDC, people will just be like, I don't want to use this. They'll use US if they really want to adopt a digital dollar, they'll use USDC or Tether or some other form of stable coin. Especially now that the transaction fees for using these stable coins are just very, very cheap on fast chains and cheap chains. So I just don't see the government having a lot of success with this unless they just really try to regulate it and force it upon everybody.
Yeah, I'm really glad you mentioned the option of a privatized dollar, right? And that's essentially what what the stable coins are. And I've spoken on that at length when it comes to CBDCs. Is that the fear that you're going to be controlled? You're always going to have an exit, right? As long as cryptocurrency is legal, and I'm talking about the stable coins. If you can take your money, whether it's a CBDC or fiat, traditional fiat, you can take your money and you can buy stable coins. You can exit that system. So as long as crypto's legal, this idea that CBDCs will be a massive control point with no other option, well, you're going to have an option if crypto's legal. And I think that in most countries it will be. We've seen certain countries make cryptos illegal, but I think for most of the people around the world, crypto will be an option that you can buy. And as long as you can buy crypto and as long as you can buy a stable coin, well, you can exit the CBD ecosystem. So that's one positive. But if you haven't looked into CBDCs, take a look at it. It is quite frightening the amount of control that a government can have, where and how and when you can spend your money, or how much of it you can sell. So the control points are pretty freakish. But I think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to stablecoins. And I know we don't talk about stablecoins enough. I think that there's a possibility that stable coins will have a larger market cap than Bitcoin at some point. I think that that's an idea that you should have on the table. Will Bitcoin market cap always stay above the stable coins? I think it's a possibility as well. I'm probably more 50-50, but I think that the use of stable coins, its speed and its also lack of manipulation from politicians, I think is something that it has that the CBDCs won't have, at least in the eyes of the public. All right, well, we're about out of time, so I want to give one more shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Guys, networking solutions, IT. If you run a business, go check them out. Big shout out to Blue Wire Tech. Link in the description, or just go to bluewiretech.com. And to you, Forrest, you got anything going on this weekend?
My wife is scheduled to be induced on Monday. So next week I'll be a father for the first time. Knock on wood. Prayers that everything goes well. So that's the weekend plan is just to lay low and
Lay low.
relax.
I like that.
There you go.
And chill out till next week.
You gonna deliver that baby? You're gonna be
Yeah, I got my catcher's mitt ready.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
No.
All right. Well, we're excited for you. Make sure you put some pictures on Twitter or something or X when that baby come out.
Yeah, for sure.
Check it out. Well, and then for those of you in the chat, go support Forrest Cysteine Research. There's a lot of alpha in there on a lot of potential altcoins and buy areas, sell areas as well, trade opportunities. So go check that out. And Rocco.
Yeah.
What do we do here? A finger tornado? Is that what
We're just gonna say goodbye and enjoy your weekend. And no tornado.
No tornado. Okay.
Well, okay, it's clear.
I like your fit there.
Thank you.
Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, you can find a lot of stuff if you go to our website, and there is also the merch store for Sin City Crypto.
Right.
And now Crypto has a lot of stuff for you to offer for you, your friend, especially if you guys are planning for the gift for Christmas.
Christmas is around the corner.
I think it's getting close. So if you want it on time, you better move now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, time to buy.
Or you can just buy yourself a Christmas.
Yeah, that's it.
I bought myself some new shoes for my birthday.
There we go. Yeah.
Why not? All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in. And farewell. Finger tornado. Let's go.
Let's go. Ciao tutti.
All right. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Let's get that baby out.
Ciao.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya, to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be